believe it or not, the moment you get your nursing job offer, you could actually be messing this up. And it's not because you're not qualified, but it could be because you're way too excited, talk too much, accept too fast, or simply you're trying to be way too nice and giving too much information. You may also not believe that you can actually negotiate your salary, but you can. The thing that you do in the next 24 to 72 hours after getting a job offer could mean literally a higher salary, benefits, scheduling, all that stuff. And just simply respect from day one. I'm Dr. Farah Laurent, and I've helped over 200 nurses, both nursing students and new grads, get job offers right out of nursing school in record time. I'm talking less than 90 days, making six figures, anywhere from 140 to 200K, getting in specialty areas like the ICU, the ER, labor and delivery, NICU, pediatrics, psych, you name it. And some of my clients have actually successfully negotiated anywhere from 5 to 10K on top of their base salary. So if you want to find out how to get multiple offers like some of my clients do, how to get same day offers and get what you want, watch until the end, because I'm going to share with you exactly what you need to do so that you don't leave money on the table, you get what you want, and you're living your best life after you accept this offer. So let's get into it. Number one, you should be applying to multiple places. As they say, don't put all your eggs in one basket, because if you're just holding out for one residency program, sometimes they take months and months to go through these application processes, and you don't want to just apply to one hospital or one particular position. You want to keep your options open. But that's not what you're going to tell these recruiters and hiring managers, right? But I would say you should apply to a minimum of at least 5 health systems that are near you, that have really good residency programs or have a good reputation for transitioning nursing students or new grads into the workforce in their health system, so that you're going to have a good onboarding, a good orientation, and be in a healthy work environment. So you need to do your homework. It's not just about salary and compensation. It's also about environment and where you want to be, and are they going to support you in your transition to that first year. And that's why it's so important to try to get into a nurse residency program, because they're specifically designed for that support and that transition. You don't want to be desperate and just accept anything. You want to have options so that you can select the best position for you. A quick client story, I actually had Caitlin. She was in the San Francisco area. She wanted to explore different options, both in Cali and outside Cali. After working with me, she actually got 3 offers within a couple weeks, but she selected, of course, Stanford, and she selected to stay in Northern California so she could be closer to her family. So also prioritize what is important, but of course, don't just apply at one place. But I'm also not telling you to apply everywhere. That is not what I'm telling you to do. In fact, you should be very strategic and clarify where you want to be in terms of nursing specialty and not just apply everywhere. Number 2, if the recruiter asks you if you've been applying to other places or if you have other offers, I would not volunteer this information. Simply keep it vague, keep it high level. Don't tell them what you're currently doing. You could potentially say, yeah, I'm exploring a few different opportunities. This is my number 1 hospital that I really want to be at. This is my dream specialty, and this is my dream hospital. If it's true, go ahead and say that. But never tell them all the details. They don't need to know any of that. In fact, you don't even have to tell them that you're applying to other hospital systems. Just keep it very vague. And then never tell them that you have another offer from another hospital system. I had one novice nurse actually tell somebody that she had an offer somewhere else, but she wanted to interview with them. Don't do that. That is the last thing that you want to do. You want to be very careful in your communication, not to offend, right? Not to waste their time and not to play games. You have to be honest and transparent. All I'm saying is some things you don't have to reveal up front if they ask you because it's just personal information. And if you're watching this and you're thinking, oh my goodness, there's so much to know about negotiation. I don't even know the first thing to do or how to negotiate my salary or what questions to ask or, should I accept this offer? Then I invite you to my next free webinar, newnursejob.com. The description is below. Please sign up now because once seats fill up, that's it. And I will share in that video things that I don't share on YouTube. I'll share strategies and secrets of how I've helped over 200 clients land these dream positions. And again, I don't share everything on YouTube. So if you want to get the inside scoop, the secret sauce, all of the things, come to my free webinar and I will dive deeper into these topics and we'll talk about negotiation tactics a little bit more. And I'll talk about how some of my clients who actually came just to my webinar landed PICU and L&D positions just from coming to the webinar. So the description is below. Go sign up now for the free webinar. Number 3, never ask them to just hold the offer so that you could just think about it and explore other offers. Do not do that. This makes you look so indecisive, unprofessional, and you'll lose the respect of the employer, the recruiter, or whoever the hiring manager is giving you the offer. Instead, to be more professional, if you're given a verbal offer, I would pause, wait until the person is done talking, give it a little bit of silence, a couple seconds, and say, oh my goodness, thank you so much for this offer. I really appreciate it and I'm excited. However, I would love to get everything in writing so that I can actually review all the details from top to bottom and get back to you with any questions that I may have. So can you please send me over the details in writing so that I could review and have the next day or two to review? Or sometimes they'll say, sure, take up to 72 hours and get back to me. This is more professional. You're asking for time to review the offer. You don't have to accept on the spot. I know you're excited, but first look at it in writing. You want to know, what are they giving you in terms of hourly? What shift is it? Day shift, evenings, nights? Is there a differential? Meaning if you work weekends or afternoons or nights, do you get a little bit more money hourly, right? Are they giving you a sign-on bonus? Specifically, if you're moving from a different state and they haven't added a sign-on bonus or a travel moving bonus, ask if that exists. But better yet, try to see if you can actually get that on your base salary. So let's say if they say, hey, we're going to give you a $5,000 sign-on bonus, say, great, that's amazing. Instead of that sign-on bonus, can I actually take that and put it onto my base salary instead? Just curious. Always come from a place of curiosity and that you're just asking if there's flexibility with their offer. So ask for it in writing so you can review and get back to them and ask them what time frame would be best for you to get back to them. Try not to accept anything verbal if it's not fully in writing. And this will give you a little bit more leverage because they're like, oh, this person is not desperate. They want to review it, because it's expected that you actually counter negotiate your salary, but most new grads don't. I wish I had this information as a new graduate nurse because nobody taught me how to negotiate. And I wish that I had, because the starting salary as a new grad can compound year after year. So it's so important to start at a higher base salary if you're able to. And it's not even just the money, it's also negotiating time off, vacations, different packages, in terms of health benefits or even educational. Sometimes they'll give you an educational budget to go to conferences and things like that. Sometimes it's not negotiable, but it doesn't hurt to ask. But especially if you're moving out of state, definitely ask if they have a relocation package or bonus or something to that effect. Don't be afraid to ask. The worst they can say is no. And they're not going to retract the offer. It's never happened to anybody that I've helped negotiate a salary. And if they do retract the offer, you don't even want to work for this company or organization because that's crazy. It is normal to negotiate a salary and an offer and a compensation package. Let's say you've taken another role. Maybe you had a nursing home position, long-term care, post-acute something, and then you're transitioning into the hospital system. If they ask you, hey, what is your current salary? You don't have to offer that. You don't tell them. Or if they say, what is your expected salary? You can say, oh, actually, I didn't even think about it at this time. You should know, but you could just throw it out there and say, I'm really interested more in this role to see if it's a good fit for me, but I'm sure that we'll come to a fair agreement and that I would get a compensation package that I would be happy with, and that is, a win-win for both parties. Something like that. Keep it high level, keep it vague. So number 4, negotiate more than just pay, as I mentioned before. Base salaries sometimes are fixed, but there's other things you can negotiate, as I mentioned, right? So you can even say the unit placement. Sometimes they'll say, hey, we'll put you in med surg for 6 months, and then we'll transition you to tele or transition you to step down or something like that. Please make sure you get that in writing. I don't really like those type of offers, but sometimes they do keep their word and they do transition you. But make sure it's in writing, because if it's not in writing and they just verbally tell you, you can't hold them accountable for that. And then sometimes they'll say things like, oh, according to unit needs, that's where we needed you, so we can't do anything about it. So be very weary about accepting those types of roles where they're like, oh yeah, you could start in med surg for a year and then we'll put you in the ICU. Sometimes they don't. So it's up to you. It's like a 50-50 risk. Are you willing to risk that? Or, just go right into the ICU and don't even try to mess around with those type of offers. And then the start date. The start date is not fixed. So many new nurses don't want to apply to residency programs because they're like, oh, I have a trip coming up, so I don't want to apply. Apply for the job, because if they give you the offer, you can negotiate the start date. Many times, big health systems will have one start date every month if they have a rotating residency program, or if they hire every month, they'll just put you in the next slot. So you don't have to miss out just because you have a trip. Or sometimes you can say, hey, yes, I would love to start, July 13th, but, I have a 3-day trip pre-booked already in this place. Can you just not schedule me for those 2 or 3 days? Would that be? If they say yes, great. If they say no, then be like, can I have the next start date? That's it. To ask, just have that conversation. And then before you even go to the interview, before you do all this, before you talk to a recruiter, make sure you do your market research. Meaning, look on the internet. What city are you in? Let's say you're in New York City. New York State has to reveal the salary ranges. So let's say you are in New York City, like in Manhattan. If you apply somewhere like NYU, it's clearly stated on their website what the salary is going to be. And typically it can range from anywhere from 120 to 130 or maybe 135. Check it out on salary.com. Glassdoor, Indeed. Sometimes they'll have like, hey, if I'm in Seattle or San Francisco at this health system, what are those nurses making as a new nurse? And then you'll have kind of a buffer of where you stand. But again, some residencies, it's a flat rate, so you can't really adjust it. If it's something flexible and they give you, let's say they're like, hey, here's $100,000 for New York City, you might be like, well, I really appreciate the offer, but from my research, my market research and what I've seen, most new grads in New York City are making about 120 to 130. So that's kind of the salary that I was expecting. Can we explore that? Something like that, the conversation will go like, and that's you knowing beforehand and doing your research, and don't be afraid to ask. And then say, is there room for flexibility in this salary? I would love to explore. And then typically give a little buffer room so you can negotiate, like at least 5 to 10K more. So, you have some negotiation room. And then typically only try to counter back maybe one time. And typically you'll come to an agreement. And if they say no, they say no. At least you asked. Now that you know how to slay that negotiation, now you want to probably know how to actually nail your interview so you can actually get the offer. So watch my next video on the 5 things you should know. These things are essential. I break it down on the video, how to do super well in your next interview so that you can actually slay past the interview process and get to that offer.